Hello, witnesses. Welcome back. We have a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about today. I don't know if you were paying attention last week. I hope you were, because there were some serious developments. I'm not sure if you were seeing what I saw, but we started off with the battle concluded, and our heroes finding themselves minus Draxvane. With the enemies teleported away, there was an air of confusion across the battlefield. It seemed to permeate the moment. They captured a captain, Captain Reinhardt, and a bodyguard, Dago, Heiko, and Nelius. They began to attempt to kind of intimidate. It seemed like the bodyguards. The bodyguard talked about like a ceremony in Brightwood, I think, and an attack on the floating cities that starts in the Badlands, I believe. The info wasn't very coherent. I don't believe. The bodyguard didn't really seem to know very much. He did tell them about the Blackwoods, though. He told them about a tall, pale human man with slick back black hair, and red eyes. Yeah, red eyes. Possibly Lord Strahd von Zarovich, and that there was a large catacombs in the Blackwoods that most people aren't really allowed to go into. Prisoners are thrown in there by themselves. But there's a weapon in the catacombs that has been there for, I think it was 1800 years, if I remember correctly. Neelis and Chia devised a plan to interrogate, and upon further inspection of the documents that they had intercepted, they found some information that was written down that they hadn't seen before. The the enemies knew that the heroes of Valantia had the ability to shapeshift, and that they were planning on infiltrating by shapeshifting into the to the Lord and Lady Blackwood. It also spoke on an attack on Theodora and the Inquisition of Pelor, and going into the mountains of the Underdark. It seems like they're looking to find allies, which is troubling, obviously, because any more allies to their cause is seriously disturbing to me. It also spoke of a celebration that is to be held in the floating cities, the Festival of Nar, supposed to be a ceasefire where there are no weapons allowed at the festival. It's the only time that they have no weapons at all available to them. Doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good at all. Neelis disguised himself as Lady Blackwood, because of course he did. And Chia disguised herself as Lord Blackwood. They both confronted the tied up captain, who was a bit confused by the spectacle, but pretty much saw through Chia's disguise. Of course, Nelius tried to help the deception as best he could in the way that Nelius always does, with his magic, growing fangs in his mouth and changing Chia's eyes when the captain challenged her on her ability to change into a werewolf. The captain was subsequently executed, not by Nelius and Chia, although they did debate it for a moment, but by something much more nefarious. But obviously not before there was an accident. This accident was brought on, I guess not not directly by Nelius's magic, but Nelius's magic was definitely a contributing factor, I suppose we could say. An errant firebolt. We're not gonna we're not gonna point fingers, but an errant firebolt from somewhere managed to hit a tent that happened to have some very important information that the characters needed. Our heroes desperately needed this information, and it went up in flames. Luckily, thanks to the help from you, I was able to identify this quickly and act fast. I was able to collect some of this information before it went up in flames. The information that I was able to collect was troubling. I can't share it here. There's something watching me. There's something that is able to intercept these transmissions between us through this planar window. Something old, something powerful, more powerful than even I. And I fear that it can hear. I do not want it to know what I know. So I'm going to send Pellet with a message for what we've learned and deliver it directly soon. That being said, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I've learned about this thing that is watching. As you know, I've been struggling to maintain this connection, struggling to be able to keep watching over our heroes. There's been a lot of interference, and I've been trying to figure out why. I thought at first that it was Pelor, the Inquisition of Pelor. I know that they're mage hunters, and perhaps they had sensed my magic and were fighting against it. And then I thought perhaps it could have been some of our enemies that had sensed me, sensed my presence, and were pushing back against it. But now I think it's something worse. There's a unknown entity that has been attempting to reach out and speak with me through my mirror. At first, I thought nothing of it. I thought perhaps it was just an entity from perhaps the planes, a lost entity from the planes reaching out for help, or something drawn to my magics, some sort of creature of the void. But it's something else. It tried to speak to me. It tried to get me to assist it. Tried to recruit me in a way. It wanted me to help it manifest itself on this plane. I was powerful enough to resist it. I've done some research. I've called in some favors from some of my contemporaries and some of the mages guilds and some of the libraries. And I've collected some books of knowledge on some of the elder evils. I can't place my finger on exactly what this thing is. What I do know is that it is called well, I know that the void, the thing that spoke to Chia, the thing that she has released, is connected to it somehow. And I know that there are keys that exist. I don't know what they look like. They all look different. Some of them as big as an obelisk, and some as small as a coin or an acorn. And these keys will awaken this evil, this entity. And I believe that's why it's reached out to me. I believe that's why it's reached out to everyone that it has reached out to at this point. And that's something else that I'm concerned about. I believe that it has one of our heroes in its clutches. I believe that one of our heroes is already compromised. How many keys are there? I don't know. My research hasn't answered that question yet. I just know that they exist. This is troubling news. And I wish that I could bring you something better. I wish that this meeting could be a meeting of victory, of celebration, because there were some good things that happened. But this is troubling. This is scary. One of our number is compromised. And I don't know if they know it. After they spoke with the void, and it drained the captain, it showed off a little bit its power to Chia. It showed its mastery over both death and rebirth, killing off a swath of trees, and then kind of giving life back, and allowing Herbie kind of back into this world, I suppose, from the Feywilds. And it subsequently kind of exploded, I guess, sending this strange black liquid everywhere. We saw this liquid begin to kind of melt everything. It melted the camp, it melted the ground, it melted the bodyguard that they still had as a captive. They did get some information before all of this happened. They found out that Drax was to be delivered to Lord Stradvin Zarovich. We found that out. He was to be delivered by his coachman, a half werewolf, half vampire Goliath, I believe, which that's an interesting combination, to say the least. And that there are troops in Blackwood, 100 strong. And that if they don't save Drax, his fate would be terrible. Drained of essence, turned into a general of darkness, tormented for all existence. None of these things sound good. Everything is concerning at the moment. At that, they decided to move towards Blackwood. The armies were there rallying, so they decided to go. On the way to Blackwood, they talked a bit. They had a bit of a moment of conflict that they had to work through, which I'm beginning to see these moments of conflicts as good. I think that they're beginning to kind of work through some things, and on the outside, on the opposite end of these conflicts, I believe they're becoming stronger together, and especially in the wake of these events, I think that's a good thing. They get to Blackwood, and on the way to Blackwood, though, they realize that they're being followed by something. They basically kind of run from it, which I think was probably a good idea. I believe it was a Bandersnatch. But they run into the catacombs, where they face a dryad of sorts, a corrupted dryad that they try to save. But again, everything here has gone kind of wrong. This is where we get to kind of I suppose, a silver lining. They meet a woman, a cleric, a Klashtar cleric, who appears to have been imprisoned herself in these catacombs in a crystal of sorts. She breaks free as they enter, and they after a tense moment, she kind of joins them in a way. At least they don't have like aggressions towards one another. But at the end, before we stopped our vision, things kind of escalated again. Gadu began to shift and fight his own body as it began to change into like a werebear of sorts, I believe. Do I think she's trustworthy? I assume you mean the Kalashtar cleric. I don't know. It's possible. In this place, in this time, I think it's reasonable to be suspicious of everyone. The darkness is making moves to recruit allies from everywhere. That is something that we've learned recently. And with the inclusion of this entity that's reaching out, talking to me, attempting to recruit me to its cause, that's brazen. That's bold. If it's willing to attempt to approach me, if it's willing to corrupt or attempt to corrupt one of our heroes, it's possible that she's not trustworthy. So our heroes would do well to tread lightly, to be careful. But also, it's possible that she's a victim in all of this and could utilize our help. There are so many that have been affected by this tragedy. There are so many that have had their lives upturned and have lost so much. And it is our duty to make sure that those people are protected, that they're taken care of. And in her condition, I don't know that she could be a threat at the moment. Will Nelius be safe in Blackwood, or does Drax need to be there for the deal to effect? I don't think anyone is safe in Blackwood. Blackwood is a very dangerous place. The heroes would do very well to tread carefully, tread very lightly, watch their steps. Blackwood is a very dangerous place. Possibly the eighth hero. Anyone could be the eighth hero. The prophecy is just that. It's a prophecy, and prophecies are notorious for being generic. The fates are fickle. They don't tell you what you want to know. They tell you what you need to know, and what you need to know is revealed in time. So I can't answer that question. In time, she may prove to be the eighth hero, or she could not. If she is, then that's great. I would love to see the prophecy fulfilled. That would truly be a cause for celebration. At the end, before we stopped our vision, there were chanting. I heard it. All hail the Whispered One. I don't know what that means. I haven't had much time to meditate on it and divine it. I've been so busy studying this entity that this has had to take a lower priority for me. But whatever it is, it can't be good. I am concerned. I thought initially when they went into the catacombs that they would face someone like Lord Strahd. I figured this would be where he would find a home. It was fitting, somewhere similar to the Dread Plains that he calls home. Castle Ravenloft is similar to the catacombs that they find themselves in now, and I felt that it would be somewhere that he would take refuge. But now, with this happening, this could be something much more sinister, much worse. We'll have to see. Could it be the foundations of a cult? It very well could. Cults are definitely an option here. I think the Blackwoods is the perfect place to breed a cult. In these times, specifically with these leaders, with these goals, and with everything hanging in the balance, when people are supposed or have to make these hard choices, I think it's easy to get people to join and to do these terrible things. I do believe it's possible to raise a cult, to raise an army in this way. And what about Granny G? That's a great question. I know that eventually we will have to face the repercussions of those bargains. That is not over. That is not done. Those sorts of bargains, once those are made, there is not really a way out of those. Making deals like that, those sorts of bargains are, I would not advise making deals with entities such as those. Demons, hags, those sorts of things, those are not to be messed with. They take serious those bargains, and they will claim what is theirs. Drax must be present. There is, it appears that there are dragons involved all over. We did see the dragon previously with the breath that basically created undead. And I'm not sure if it was creating undead from dead bodies or if it was turning the living into the unliving. I'm not sure how that worked exactly. I couldn't get a good enough look. Either way, I suppose the outcome is the same. And it just makes our job that much harder, because that means that their army is twice as unstoppable. It's it's going to be difficult. I hope that our heroes are ready. I'm going to get a message to them. I'm going to tell them the things that I've learned. And I hope that they listen, for their sake and for ours. How are a small band of heroes to stand up to such odds? Because they have something special. They aren't just normal men and women. They have their faults, and I've talked on that before. You know how I feel about that. But there's something inside. They have an ability, they have a resilience. They've already have a bond. They're bound by this tragedy. They're bound by this caring for one another. And regardless of what they say, in the way that they interact with the world, with the way that they interact with what has happened around them thus far, they have a deep appreciation for what's happening, and they care. And that's all they need. I believe in that. Whereas the other side doesn't. They have ambition. Their drive is pushed through their need for power, their need for wealth, their need for domination. And those are shallow, hollow things. There's nothing behind it. You can't win that way. Passion, love, care, those things will win the day. Hope cannot be extinguished. And our heroes have that, and they can't take that away. I think on that note, I'm going to close this planar window. I appreciate you meeting with me again, witnesses. And I hope that next week you'll be here as well, because there is so much to talk about and we have so much work to do. Until next time, witnesses, mind the fates and keep your destinies close. There are more adventures to be had if we can simply keep the faith.